Redline oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
Redline oil, formulated to win.
Formulated to win.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Proven by me.
Proven by me.
Redline oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
The number one source of friction in your engine is not what you think. Piston rings rubbing against the cylinder walls generate more friction than any other part of the engine. More friction and temperature means more wear and less horsepower. Fortunately, the team at Total Seal knows how to reduce friction and wear through innovative piston ring design. If it takes a piston, Total Seal can build a better ring.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to WFO Radio. I'm Joe Castello and super excited about this week's show. That's right. Summit Racing Equipment NHRA Nationals winners Austin Prock, Justin Ashley, Corey Reed, John Hall, plus the guy who called the race, Jason Galvin, is going to be on the show. That's the plan, at least. You know, we're connecting with everybody. Hopefully it all works out. Super excited about the race, though. It was hot. It was long, but boy, was it fun. And those fans out there at America's Racetrack, the home of the Baiters, they do such a great job. Like you're dying out there. You're trying to stay hydrated, but you got ice cream to keep you cool. And we had ourselves a great time. Also, big congratulations to Matt Hartford winning the Getrix Pro Stock All-Star Callout and Gianna Evaristo for winning the ice cream eating contest again 3 years in a row. That is just wild. So if you're a fan of the show, drag racing, funny car, John Force, we need you to share the show right now. Just repost. Those of you out there watching on X, if you're on YouTube, drop a comment in the comment section because that helps us out dramatically. I don't know why, but it does. Helps us out and get all those views out there and keep everybody locked in. So this guy, when he won the race, the first thing he said to me was like, Tuesday? I was like, yeah, man, that's the way it works. So let's bring him back right at the start of the show, Mr. Austin Prock. What's up, Austin? How are you?
Doing good, Joe. How you doing?
Good. You know, like I love the fact that you were so gung-ho about coming back on and telling the story, the behind the scenes. We always post these in the John Force Racing Facebook groups that I have nothing to do with. I'm kind of spamming them, to be very honest. You'd think they'd be into it, right? Hearing about the John Force Racing inside story. So thank you for being back.
Yeah, for sure, man. I always love being on here. It means you did something good, typically.
That is it. We rarely invite people on after terrible things, but sometimes. So be ready when it happens.
I hope not.
So, well, we did not invite you after back-to-back round one outs. So there you go. That
yeah,
proves
perfect.
It. But okay, so you told us last week, what is really great about this is that we can kind of follow the saga, right? Learning the new tune-up, figuring out the hot weather, new clutch disc inventory. That's what we learned last week. And this was just a second chance to apply it, right? Similar to almost exact conditions as in Richmond. Very difficult with the heat, but a good racetrack. So why don't you tell us?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, coming off Richmond into Norwalk, obviously the track surface is much different. The air conditions were quite a bit different, but the grip levels were very much similar, especially come Sunday. We definitely didn't start exactly where we were leaving Richmond in Norwalk. Friday, obviously, the Q1 and Q2, that was the best track surface that we saw all weekend. And obviously, we made our two best runs of the weekend. And after that, it was kind of like just peeling it all the way back, like an onion all the way back to Richmond. So it was definitely tricky. It wasn't an easy race course to get down. As you saw, the success rates in all the categories were probably pretty low throughout the weekend, but my guys did an outstanding job, just keeping their heads down and, picking away at this thing. And by Sunday, we were making some really nice runs.
People saying congratulations. Tristan out there, congratulations on the win. Austin. Fast Eddie, who won a bracket race 2 weeks ago. WFO listener, he started Sportsman Racing, and he's winning all the time, too. Congratulations on back-to-back. Sammy Eubanks out there. Yo, AP, what's up? Mr. Rocket, congratulations. A lot of people saying what's up to you, and congratulations on the win. How's that part of it going? The celebrity funny car racer, the growing of the fan base, all of that as champion, the arc of Austin Prock. You feeling it?
Yeah, it's definitely blown up from a few years ago, which, it's exciting. I love spending time with the fans and interacting with them. And I think that goes a long way. Growing up watching John Force, he's the best at that. And, you kind of want to build your career in some shape or form of following his footsteps because he's the greatest to ever do it. So, I love interacting. And one of my buddies texted me this morning and said congrats. And he was up on the starting line. And he's like, dude, you should have heard the crowd go wild when your win light came on. So that definitely means a lot. And I appreciate all the support out there.
Yeah, it's a big deal, right? Like that's where my job and your job kind of cross paths. And John is the best. And all the times that he spent at the ropes and talking about being at the ropes and having a moment for every fan, even though there's no way to possibly do that, people wonder why he's the greatest of all time and so beloved. There are other racers that have won a lot of races, but John is loved in a way. And it's because of that, right? There are people like back in 1982 that he gave a tour of the hauler in the parking lot of Gainesville Raceway. I'm that guy, little kid. Still love him to this day.
Yep. Yeah. And you probably still tell that story. I get people that come up to the ropes and, I was there in Montreal when I watched John get his first win and this and that. And he gave me a piston and a shirt. And, that's really cool. Those little things that race car drivers can do for the fans, especially in NHRA, because they get so much access to us. They can make a life lasting, memory or impression, which is really cool.
That's it. That's what it's all about. You got to find time for each and every one of them. All right. So this was, you were not the number one qualifier. Cruz Pedregon was the number one qualifier, the makers and fixers car. I got to say, the tool wars in Norwalk, really strong. It seems like every one of the tool companies is really close to Ohio, say, right? The Midwest, the center of the country. That's where they make them. That's where they build them. And you guys went to war. He was number one. Good to see Cruiser doing well, but out of the number two slot, you guys were able to advance around Dale Creasy in the first round, setting up a big battle against Bob Tasca in his new chassis in the second round. Let's pick it up there. That is I would say, a fun little, maybe slightly under the surface rivalry with Tasca, because they've got a fast car too. The two 340 mile per hour funny cars. Yeah, for sure. Well, first off, Dale Creasy is no slouch. We help the Creasy family quite a bit at John Force Racing. Danny Hood's father, he helps on that car. So we interact with them quite a bit, and you can't take them lightly. They can go up there and that car's capable of running, a low 390. And so it was cool to see, first off, them get in the show, making progress with that new car that they have and having a good heads up race. So on to the next round, Bob Tasca. Yeah, we kind of created a little bit of a rivalry last year. Racing him, his car was outstanding. I think he had the winningest record against us last year out of any other funny car, and they were all extremely close races. I think we lost out of three of the races that we lost against Tasca last year. It compiled to 0.003 of a second. Each loss was 1 thou. So how tough that car is, in our pit. So racing him second round, you're always up on the wheel against Tasca. He's a great lever, and we know what that car's capable of. So try and step it up and just make sure we push, but not push hard enough to smoke the tires. And we were able to get the job done. Like I said, we always love racing him just because they're a tough competitor. Yes. Yeah. It makes you want to fist bump just a little bit more when you turn the wind light on. Well, it should be like that. There have to be races. And I'm sure for others, you are that guy. When they beat the Prock Rocket, it's a big deal. It's not just like beating any other opponent. And that set up a matchup against Caps. Fast Eddie says he wants to identify himself. Last year at the U.S. Nationals, it was the celebration beer you were hydrating with. I'm the Miller Lite guy. I don't know what that means. Perfect. He must have gave me a beer. And you encourage that from others? Yeah. I mean, who's going to turn down a cold free beer? Exactly. That have to be crazy. That is also true. That is especially after you win, Right. Of course. Yeah. That's something, right? That's something. Well, now we got the American Rebel. You certainly enjoyed that the previous week. All right. The matchup against Caps. All right. Let's talk a second. You've driven midget cars. Caps went out there to that midget race, Thursday Night Thunder at IRP. This is a cool race. Sammy Sindel is in the race, all that stuff, Smoke in the race. You were not in the race. Was that like just an oversight, an accident? You didn't want to do it? Were you not invited? I'm butting into your business right now. I have no idea how you're going to respond, but I really want to talk about Caps and Levi Jones and get your take on that. I was aggravated instantly, like my blood boiled. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't know if I was invited or not. All the PR goes around me to Bob McAleer at our company, and then he makes the call on if he's going to ask me or not. So, I don't know if I was invited. I may have been, and, typically I'm already at the racetrack on a Thursday, so I could see how that could probably be some sort of conflict. But I'm hoping to get behind the wheel of one of those midgets later this year, but we'll have to see how everything hashes out. On the accident, I love Ron Capps. I love Levi Jones. I obviously grew up racing out of Tony Stewart Racing. I've known Levi for a really long time. But yeah, it wasn't the best start to the race. We'll just put it that way. A lot of aggressive moves to be had prior to even crossing the finish line. And especially in a race like that, you got a bunch of drivers that aren't experienced or as comfortable in the cars as others, and it's kind of like a for fun type of race. Everybody's competitive. They want to win, but it's a specialty race, a match race, if you will. So to see, 3 or 4 of the cars get wadded up before they even cross the start finish line, it definitely didn't look good.
It was an exhibition. I think about Rocky IV, right? Like what happened there. It was an exhibition. I don't know. I saw it on X, and I'm sitting there. I guess it was Thursday night, and I'm thinking to myself, that's terrible. I don't know Levi at all. I have great respect for all racers. I'm sorry to drag you in on it. I just wanted to talk about it a little bit, because I just wish he would have said something to Caps, like, hey man, didn't want it to go that way, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah, hindsight's 2020. We weren't in the race cars. We just saw it from the aerial picture above. You can point fingers and be a keyboard warrior all you want, but at the end of the day, none of us were in the situation. We weren't behind the wheel, so it's hard to say exactly what Levi felt, what he saw. He thought maybe he was pushing him square. Who knows? All that stuff happens so quick, and as a race car driver, shit happens, unfortunately. Everybody that got in those cars, there's a risk that things can happen. Obviously you don't want any of them to happen, especially when you're a professional race car doing something, just to entertain. Essentially, there's really no benefit to what Caps is doing in NHRA, but as race car drivers, we love doing things like that because it's new, it's exciting, it's rare for us to get out of our box. But you always know that there's a risk there, and unfortunately, those things can happen, and it's just part of it, unfortunately.
Bad deal. Hey, listen, that makes me feel a little bit better about it. I know all of that, but it's good to hear it. And Caps just, I think all drag racers deep down, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think all drag racers deep down feel a little slightly disrespected by people who turn, because they don't turn, not lumped in with the rest of the racing world, right? Because they don't turn. How hard could it be? You straight liners, you're just going straight. And so for a guy like Caps or Doug or yourself or Cruz to every once in a while go out and run with those guys, that you just want to prove that, hey man, we can drive too.
For sure. If I could drive a midget or a sprint car every off weekend or during the middle of the week while we're not racing, I would do it, if I had the opportunity to. I just love being behind the wheel of a race car, and I think that definitely Tony coming over to drag racing and having a legend like that, a Hall of Famer, explain, the difficultness of drag racing. And it is totally different. Our crafts are 2 totally different things. I'm lucky enough I've got to do both. And they're both tough in their own way. A Sunday in a drag race, Sunday morning, going 4 rounds, there's not much that's harder than that, being a machine, and especially the talent of the drivers right now on the starting line. And, that's just step one, but you can absolutely lose the race right there with just a flinch of your ankle. They're both difficult, but I think a lot of people respect each craft anymore.
Well, and hopefully increasingly, right? It doesn't, the past doesn't matter. I think that Dale Jr. social media bit that Tony's, it was a couple of weeks ago, but where he said like, man, maybe this is at the top of his accomplishments because it's so different than the other things he's done. And, it's just so unrelatable, right? 0 to 100 in less than a second, 0 to 330 in less than 4 seconds. It's unrelatable. Whereas we've all been on a go-kart track and kind of taken the corners and you feel it and you think maybe it's just impossible to imagine what you guys go through.
Yeah, for sure. That's the hardest part of, or talking to the fans. They always want to know, how does it feel? And my only response is it's so far out in its own world that you can't explain it. I mean, but a lot of people haven't even gone 100 miles an hour on the road, and we're doing it in 0.8 of a second. Which is only about 60 feet, like how are you going to explain that to someone that's never done it? But it's an amazing experience. And I always say it's something that everybody should get to experience, but only a few of us do. And we're definitely, us Nitro drivers are definitely lucky and blessed to be able to say that.
Well, and we lean on you for the experience. That's why sometimes it's fun to hear you guys just like talk about what it did. And back to John Force, right? Like that's where he kind of really hooked people in, seeing Elvis at 1,000 feet. It was on fire. And I was oh man, I didn't know where it was. That kind of craziness is great stuff. So anyway, Caps and you battle it out. You're 09-1. He's 08-9. So a couple of thou, but it was the starting line reaction 055. Man, Austin, those 55s in critical situations, to be able to dip down into the 50s while shallow, that's just that's amazing stuff. How do you do it, How do you do it, Austin?
I don't really know. If I knew, I'd do it a lot more often, like Justin Ashley. But I'm learning. Like I always say, I'm learning every lap, and I strive for that number. I want to be mid 50 or low 50 every time I stand on the gas. But obviously, it's very, very difficult to do. But going up there, obviously another big round, kind of like a task round, that's a really competitive car. Guido does a great job tuning that race car, and, they can drop bombs. They stole lane choice from us rolling into that round. We thought we made a pretty nice run for the conditions, and he goes out there and one-ups us. So definitely knew he had to stand on the gas, and, got shoved over in the right lane. We didn't really run the right lane all weekend because we had the mission too fast, too tasty. So we had lane choice through qualifying essentially. So we only had, I think, one run over there. And I definitely don't feel like the racetrack was as good down track, but rolling up to the water box, we have to, the crew chiefs have to make their clutch calls multiple pair prior to us starting our race car up in the water box. So it's typically about 4 pair. So in that situation, it was the first pair of top fuel cars. After they made the run, we had to make all our decisions. I'm getting strapped in the car. They're bolting the bell housing together. My dad's making his final adjustments, and the track was X, and we anticipated that the track was going to fall off on the grip numbers. And by the time we got up there, it was actually better than it was prior to the first pair of top fuel. And so essentially our race car was underdone. We didn't have the clutch set up properly for those grip numbers, and we figured it was going to be slow. And I'm listening to all this on the radio as I'm trying to, get dialed in to go try and turn on a wind light. And I'm like, man, like this sucks. We're underdone. I know they're going to throw down next to us. They have that thing wicked up. There's no way they don't. And I'm like, the only way we have a hope is if I absolutely murder the tree. And I changed my, I guess I changed the way I stood on the gas, essentially. How I got my focal point locked in on the tree, and I was just kind of, trying something because I haven't been driving that good throughout the weekend. I was a 70 guy, and I knew I needed to be at least 200 to 300s quicker than that to have a shot at it. And I took a shot, and it was good enough to get the job done. But that thing got down there, and it spun the tires about 660, 700 feet, and just hanging on to it. It sounded horrible. I could see the fuel spraying on the side windows, and when I lifted, I looked up and saw that wind light, and that was a good feeling. Thomas got on the radio. He said, "You got him," and you got him on a hole shot. And for a driver, that's a pretty amazing feeling.
Amazing. No, amazing. And you got to rise to the occasion, right? You're carrying the fam, you're carrying the team, you're carrying Cornwell tools, and you got to do something. You did something, and it worked out to set up a final round matchup against Matt Hagan with Tony Stewart's team. And the shocking stat that is now coming to light, after 3, didn't really mention it. After 4, didn't really mention it. But now it's 7 consecutive wins against Matt Hagan. And I have a tough time processing that. Like, it just doesn't kind of make sense. And yet it is, with a big final round win. Talk about prepping for that race. I know that you don't think about stuff like that. Like, I beat this guy 6 times in a row, but maybe you're like, eventually he's going to beat us. Like you'd think. Tell me about it.
Yeah, that stat's unbelievable to me too. Matt, he's a quality driver, excellent lever, and he'll probably end up in the Hall of Fame. He's a 4-time world champion. Not very many people can say that. So a lot of respect for that team, a lot of respect for the driver, and they're always fun to race. But after beating Caps on a hole shot, I definitely had a little bit of a pep in my step, and I was feeling good about myself. I felt like I was getting my ducks in a row, and I knew I was going to have to be on my game up there. And I felt really good about it all the way up until we fired that thing up in the water box, and one of the fuel lines on the manifold was loose, and I was getting geysered with fuel. And I didn't think that we were going to be able to get the line tight to make the run. Started freaking out, panicking a little bit, and Nate Hildahl kept his cool, went in there and got the line tight, dropped the body. Then, obviously that took a little bit extra time. Our procedure is pretty quick. So usually we start second, to the opposing car in our lane. And so then once we dropped the body, I had to rush my procedure, get through the water box a little bit quicker, shorten my burnout up, backed up quicker than I normally do. So you're just kind of out of sync. You're just kind of scrambling a little bit. As a driver, I like to be a machine and do the same thing. That's how I'm comfortable. That's how I react quick. That's how I feel good about myself. So I was a little bit mixed up there, a little bit of scrambled eggs, but got a hold of the Christmas tree good enough to not get beat. We were 69. Hagan was 50. He might have been in, a little bit, but not much. He typically doesn't take a chunk. But it was good enough to get the round win. And, sometimes the driver can help out and get a win light. And the Prock Rocket and my dad, Thomas, Nate Hildahl, and the whole Cornwell Tools team gave me a good enough car to drive back around him. Amazing.
Just a tremendous victory. And I see a couple of our other guests connecting down there: Justin Ashley, Corey Reed, John Hall. Kind of a different kind of winner's circle, but you guys look like you had a lot of fun. Corey, a first-time winner. John Hall, first win in 12 years. Pretty wild winner circle out there.
Yeah, for sure. I got a lot of respect for all those drivers and riders. It was cool to see Corey Reed win. When I was getting suited up, I heard over the PA that he won, and I thought it would be really cool to win with him. Him and Joey Gladstone I've known for a while, and they're definitely fun to celebrate with.
I bet. Yeah, they're fun to celebrate with. But you're not an ice cream guy, though. You said that a bunch of times. Like, not, not really.
No sweets for me. Never been a fan of them, and that's how I keep this nice physique I got.
Yeah, well, that's the pretty easy way to do it, right? No sweets, no sugar. Austin, great job as usual. All right, what's the plan for 4th of July? We got the off weekend, a couple weeks off, and then we're headed out on the abbreviated but still very cool Western Swing, beginning with Pacific Raceways, then headed to Sonoma, just like that. Brainerd, Indy, and we're in the countdown. Can you believe it?
I can't, man. This year is flying by, but heading up north. Gonna go hang out on the lake for a few days with my family. I think there's about 30 of us gonna be up there this year, which I'm really excited about. So kind of a tradition we've been doing for a while. Typically, not everybody can make it like they are this year, and not everybody's coming. My family is huge. A lot of them from Michigan, so that's an easy trip for everyone to make. So really looking forward to that. Gonna get on the road here in a couple days and go continue to celebrate our success the last few weekends and relax and get ready for the Western swing. Love going out west. Seattle and Sonoma are two of my favorite events on tour. And like I said, the year's flying by. It's going to be crunch time before we know it, but I'm glad we're kind of getting our strides going right now. Obviously, it makes us feel good going off on a 2-weekend, hiatus or break. We'll be able to relax a little bit more knowing that our race car's in good shape to go out west. So really enjoying the season so far and looking forward to finishing it out strong.
Yeah, you're looking pretty good in the point standings as well for that regular season championship. This was a big move here this weekend. We'll see how it all works out. Austin, happy 4th. All the best to your family. Enjoy your time in Michigan, and we'll catch up in Seattle.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Thanks for all the support from all you fans out there, and I hope we're doing a good job of entertaining you. You
definitely are. I'm entertained. I'm sure they're entertained as well, judging by all the people on the stream right now. Thank you, Austin. Enjoy your weekend. Later, bud.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Happy 4th.
Austin Prock with us here on WFO Radio. Great kid, obviously. The family is awesome. They are super diehard. And also, I can't help but think, how are you going to beat that? I was spending a lot of time thinking about, man, how are you going to beat that? Jack Beckman, of course, got the same stuff. John Force, professional driver. How are you going to beat that? Ron Capps. The Ron Capps situation is kind of a bummer right now because he's, now he's nicked a little bit. You could see him. He's a little nicked. He's going to have to fight through it. Best thing for Capps, he's got a little bit of a break now. Cruz Pedregon emerging on the scene, but, I don't want to use the David and Goliath, biblical deal. But right now, Austin Prock is the Goliath. All right, so I see Corey Reed is down there. I see Justin Ashley is also down there. Corey's a little ahead of schedule. We're going to catch up with Justin. Hopefully that works for everybody. And then we'll keep on going. The Corey Reed victory is so popular. Everybody just loves this guy because of who he is, right? And Justin Ashley, very similar. So we're going to do that momentarily. But first, we're going to hear from a couple of our sponsors. Stick around.
For more than a decade, FTI has strived to become the leader in the aftermarket performance transmission and converter industry. We've joined forces with McLeod Driveline Components under the leadership of Top Fuel Funny Car pilot Paul Lee, and now have a larger distribution network, more resources, and more power. Come see us in the pits and ask how you can join the FTI family. It's not cheating, it is the competitive edge.
Drag racing fans, check out Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's the free, family-friendly fantasy bracket game. Now, after final qualifying at every national event, you can fill out your bracket for all the pro classes.
It's free, easy to click on your picks. If you need some help, just hit the randomizer button to fill in the blanks. It's for fun, stay engaged, and pick your winners today.
I'm Steve Torrence, 4-time NHRA Top Fuel World Champion. And when me and these Capco boys win races, we go straight WFO.
You know it. WFO Radio, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever you get your audio podcasts. Of course, YouTube. Subscribe, click the bell right there. All right, let's bring on our Top Fuel winner. We're going to go from our Top Fuel winner to our Pro Stock winner. I see you down there, Corey. Do not worry, you look great, but let's bring on Justin Ashley. Justin, welcome back. Congratulations.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, Joe.
All right, so this is kind of weird, right? Because you're the back-to-back winner. You've won 2 races on the season, but the thing that happened in Richmond was not, what you guys want. That's not how you want to win, and you guys were very clear about it. I think Dustin Davis told them to take the Wally away a week ago. You weren't even at the track. It's got to feel good to put that behind so rapidly with a win that you deem, how you want to win.
Yeah, it definitely does. Virginia was very unconventional. I don't think any of us have been through anything like that before. We have a lot of respect for Coletta Motorsports, a lot of respect for Sean Langdon, and it was NHRA's decision, right? It was just something that we had to live by, but we were all eager to get to Norwalk, and we wanted to perform well for that very reason, so we can put everything behind us and completely shift the narrative and shift the focus. And thankfully for us, we're able to do that. Norwalk was a spectacular weekend. I'm not saying anything that nobody doesn't already know, but Bill Bader Jr. does a fantastic job of supporting the NHRA, its teams, its drivers, its fans, and it makes for an outstanding event. So all the way Friday through Sunday, absolutely spectacular, and was so grateful for the opportunity to to put our Skag Power Equipment Top Fuel Dragster into the winner's circle.
Absolutely. And a big weekend. Let's pick up the eliminations. You started off running the number 16 qualifier, Scott Farley. You guys were number 1. You're 53 on the tree. You advanced to round 2 against Josh Hart. You're 61 on the tree. You get by Josh to set up a titanic rematch of the final round a week before. Take us through to that point, because it was tricky. 388, 390, not what we're normally used to hearing. We just spoke with Austin Prock, and it was that kind of weekend. It was hot. It was attrition. It wasn't throwdown. It was manage your power as best as you can, and you guys did a great job of doing it.
Yeah, it was one of those Sundays that was really going to be about survival mode. Who could survive come the end of the day on Sunday? And fortunately, we were one of them. We qualified well, obviously qualifying number 1. This was our first number 1 qualifier of the year, our first number 1 qualifier since Reading of last year. So we knew that we had a good race car going into Sunday, but going into Sunday, we also had to look at each round in a vacuum, because although it was hot throughout the entirety of the day, it was to continue to get hotter each and every round. So starting in round 1, we obviously knew that we had Scott, and it was important for us to, we feel like, run maybe somewhere in the middle of the pack, where we wanted to not take any chances and make sure that we went A to B. But we have a lot of respect for Scott Farley and that team. We did not want to slip up, because if we did, we knew that they would take advantage of that mistake and then move on to the next round themselves. So went in 88, a good solid A to B lap. And fortunately for us, we were able to keep lane choice. And then obviously up against Josh. Josh is one of the best levers in the category. He does a fantastic job. That's a really good car, especially in the hot weather. They can really, really run well and go A to B and turn on win lights. So that 90 gave us lane choice for the semifinals. But as you go through the ladder and as we worked our way through the first 2 rounds, we knew, again, it was survival mode. It was just getting hotter and hotter. And we, like everyone else, wanted to see that quote-unquote titanic rematch, right, in the semifinals against Sean. So those 2 first rounds were fun. That led us up to the semifinals against Sean, where it was just it was a throwdown, a great battle. If you give Sean and that team even an inch, whether it's on the starting line or on the racetrack, they're going to take advantage of it. So there was no room for error there, and made a nice solid, I think, 393 lap. I think he put a hole out. So that was a really nice lap to get us onto the finals.
Well, exactly. And you guys had identical lights, 51 lights, identical lights. And that's the one everyone wants to see now. And it's as if, sometimes I get accused of like maybe overinflating a story, but I feel like that's my job, to get other people interested in it. Like you look at boxing and MMA or UFC, and they're hyping these matchups. They don't just say, yeah, there's another one coming up, check it out, or not. Don't. That's your business. They're both good. You got to hype it. And the Sean Langdon, Justin Ashley, especially now with this like data point out there in the universe, Sean is so good. And you are so, your crews are good. And it's like, oh my goodness, it doesn't get much better than that. And obviously you had a check mark as you were looking at the ladder.
Yeah, it doesn't. Sean is a special driver. I think in terms of natural ability and understanding how to drive a top fuel dragster, he's one of the best to ever do it. I really feel that way. Sometimes when I get out at the top end, he'll explain to me what he saw during the run. And even at this point, it's so far above my head. He's so analytical in his approach. So it's very impressive. But yeah, it's not really, the unique thing about it is it's not really Sean versus Justin, right? You mentioned it. It's Sean's team versus our team, because this really is a team sport. And to have the people that we have on our team, I talk about it all the time, but I don't just say it just to say it. I say it because I mean it. We get to be along for the ride. I fortunately have the opportunity to represent Skag Power Equipment and Toyota and our team. But what you see on the racetrack is the byproduct of the work that every team out there puts in during the week. And then obviously Friday through Sunday at the racetrack. So when you're backed by Mike Green, Tommy Delago, and the guys that we have, and he's backed by Brian Houston, AJ, and everybody at Kalita Motorsports, it just makes for a titanic matchup, whether it's in round 1 or round 4. And a lot of times that's the case in Top Fuel anyway, no matter who you match up against, because the depth and the talent of competition right now is that good. But when you take everything and you look at it as a whole in the context for what it is, I think there'll be a lot more exciting matchups like that throughout the entirety of the year, and then obviously into the countdown.
Okay, well, I can't wait. U.S. Nationals coming up. Sets up the final round against Clay. Clay with the Summit Rewards car, talking about hot weather. Clay, they're good in the hot weather, and you are able to go out there and win on a hole shot to dig down and go 27 on the tree, and that's really what made the difference. A few weeks ago, you went 17 or something, 18, and I asked you, like, that's not possible, right? Like, that's kind of you can't do that on a regular basis, right? And you, in a moment of like quick wit, you said, never say never. Like, never say never. Like, this is something we're going for. And, there's a 27, and these are popping up a little more often now.
Yeah. I don't never say never, but I would not expect an 18, a 27 on a regular basis. I just don't think that's feasible. Not at the moment anyway. But sometimes you got to find a way to get it done. I really have to go back, honestly, and probably look at the video. There's a good chance I might have taken one or two at the starting line. I don't know. I tried to put it in as shallow as I can, but in the final round, I really, you're not as concerned at that point in time. It's more about just getting the race car in there. So I think for me, my goal is really to be in the 30s and 40s every time. And then occasionally, a 17 light might pop out, but my biggest fear, to be honest with you, going into that final round was the timeliness of Clay, because I did not want to, and our team did not want to run that final round without him. That was not the right thing to do. It was a little bit of a tricky situation because behind the scenes, NHRA was trying to get the finals in because they had a live TV window on Fox Broadcast Network, and that's understandable. So they were telling us to get into the race cars and get up to the starting line, and we were delaying as long as we could, until eventually we had no choice. It had to go into the water box. And I think we were all relieved to see Clay turn the corner. And I was very impressed with that team, the way that they were able to get back up to the starting line and make a really good quality run like that was really impressive. So my hat's off to them. But, we've been to a bunch of final rounds this year, and to actually cross the finish line in a final round and see the win light was a combination of tremendous excitement and relief. Mike, Tommy, Dustin, the team, to run high 380s and low 390s all day. I spoke about it at the end of the day. A lot of times when it's hot like that, teams that win races, quote unquote, get away with one, right? Where you might smoke the tires. Not this time. A to B each and every time.
Excellent. So looking at the point standings after the win, you are third, 77 out of the lead with that championship, that regular season championship on the line, $150,000, big money. I know you're shooting for that. We're headed to Pacific Raceways, the Western Swing, the mini swing, but I still love it. We're all getting ready for that. But what are you going to do with these next couple of weekends?
I think prepare, right? I mean, the guys are going to be in the shop preparing the race car, preparing themselves. For me, preparing and getting ready to go for Seattle and that West Coast trip, both physically and mentally, make sure that we're ready to go. And then I think it's important during this period of time to spend time with family. So I'll be with my fiance, I'll be with my family, our dogs, trying to spend some time together, be out on the water, maybe be by the beach and just relax a little bit and unwind and take that time to reflect on the first half of the year. But definitely shift our focus after this to going out to the West Coast and performing well.
Got to win with first-time winner Corey Reed. He's next. Everybody loves him. He's a great character. He broke through. He's like near and dear to the heart of everyone in NHRA after what he went through a few years ago. What was that winner's circle like?
That was awesome. We had the opportunity to sit with him on the truck ride back to the stage after he won at the top end. And that was really neat. I had asked him, I said, have you ever won before in Pro Stock? Or Pro Stock Motorcycle. I thought maybe he won in that. He hadn't won either. So to be with a first-time winner was really cool. We all remember that feeling. It's a special feeling. It's the culmination of a lot of hard work. So that was really neat. Really happy for him. He's obviously been through a lot, both on and off the racetrack. So it was really, really special for me to be able to share the winner's circle with him. So congratulations to Corey Reed and his whole team. That's definitely well-deserved, and we were honored to share the winner's circle with him.
Amazing. Happy 4th of July. All the best to the family. We'll catch up at Pacific Raceways as we get going again. It won't be long, but you're doing a great job. I think that's 6 finals in the last 7 races or something for the SCAG team. So amazing performances. Keep it going. Good luck.
Appreciate you, Joe. Go WFO. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Justin Ashley with us here on WFO Radio. Normally I would take a break, but I'm going right to this guy because he's had stable cell service for like the whole drive. He's watching the interview. He's watching Austin. He's watching Justin. And this is the interview that I think everybody wants to see. And there's our Joey, who was sitting across from me on the airplane. Where are you guys headed?
What's up, Joe?
What's up, guys?
Not much, dude. Just going back to the shop. Joey's got me from the airport.
Okay, that's how it all
sir.
worked. So head to the shop and gonna be working. Greg's gonna have you like on the.
Oh no! I gotta go to the shop and figure out how to sell the Suzuki shit. I got set up in a mezzanine.
Well, so how about it, Corey? The journey to this moment. Pro stock winner. As a drag racer or drag racing fan, to think you're holding the same trophy as Warren Johnson and Bob Glidden and Bill Grumpy Jenkins and Greg Anderson. What is that like?
It's incredible, man. Not something I never thought not in that class. I really hoped for one in a bike a lot. And then we got through with Joey and that felt amazing. And then just, getting something in another class is even better.
Yeah. All right. So let's walk through the race day. There was a lot of shake, people struggling to get down. Greg didn't get down. It was a tough day. How did you handle it?
Yeah, well, car side, just let Rob down and do that. When it gets hot and greasy, that guy comes in like clutch. I love when he walks back to the car. We're sitting in the stage line, and he's like, I always tell Joey, here comes Rob. He goes, oh, yeah. And he starts, open the trunk lid, do this, do that. Grabs a wrench and just starts moving weight around. That always makes me feel good because it's like, all right, we're making a preemptive strike to make it right. So that he did that a couple times, and then honestly, first round and second round, I felt like I got a little lucky. Like I was trying not to hit the tree too hard, to just kind of seeing the light and letting go, and I was like 66 each time. I was like, what the heck, man? And then we tried a little harder against Greg, and it only went 50, and I thought I killed it. I was like, damn, I think I might be screwed here if I can't get better than that. So me and Joey talked about it a little bit, and he moved the linkage I don't even know, probably 1 or 2 holes, and it worked. And I tried killing the tree one more time, and it picked up to a 12. So that was really nice. See the car moved, and then, trying hard work too.
Yeah, the reaction time is so vital. All right, before we pick it up at the semifinals, because that is just a titanic matchup against Greg, and he's been so good. Other side of the ladder, you got Dallas and Hartford. But just working with Greg, being a part of this team, being in KB Titan, the big investment that Jim and Annie made to be a part of this, along with Eric Latino, like all that rides with you all the time. I don't know if people notice it, but that's part of it.
Absolutely. My dad and Eric really stepped up, and they do great things for KB, and I'm proud to be the owner's son. I'm proud to be associated with both of them and hang out with both of them and see them help a lot of other people too along the way. And they're keeping the class going very well. So it's cool. It's something I never thought would ever be in my reality, but it is, and I love it.
And then the final round, you and Dallas, and Dallas Glenn goes out there, shakes the 12 in the final, 64, and just take me through it, process it. We saw Joey fell to his knees on the starting line. We'll talk about that, of course, but like the reality, like this just is happening. It just happened. Like, how did it develop for you in the car?
Well, I put it in high gear, and I kind of was like, man, I don't really hear nothing next to me. I don't see nothing next to me. I kind of glanced over to the left, and there was nothing there. I looked up, I could see the big screen. That was a nice positioning for that. And I was like, holy crap, he is off the gas. And I went through the finish line. I was like, holy crap, that's a win light. I was like, oh, that actually just happened. Then I get out of the car, and I looked at all the cameras were all there and stuff, and I was like, I better not say too much because I've been yelled at before for cussing. And I was just like, I'm gonna do my best not to cuss here for you guys. So I kind of just stayed silent. And it takes a moment. Even till now, I'm still thinking like, it's crazy feeling, man. It takes a long time to really set in what happened and how it happened. I think going in the second round was probably the most wild part about the whole day though, because the golf cart ran out of gas about halfway through the fuel pits. And Joey looks back and goes, the golf cart's breaking. I said, what? He goes, I think it's blowing up. And I was like, oh, that's not good. My brother's standing across from me on the car, on the door frame, on the kickboard. And I looked at him, I said, I pulled the strap off, I threw it in the cart, and I said, push. And he goes, what? And I said, we're going to have to push this thing, go. And me and him start pushing it. And all of a sudden, the car starts going fast. I look back, there's like 5 extra people just pushing the shit out of this car. And then here comes DJ, Greg's main guy, right? He comes screaming, get out of the way, move. And everybody scatters off the back of the car. He comes in and does the motorcycle push on a golf cart onto the pro stock car. He starts, we get up through the stage lanes finally, and get it there. And Greg Stanfield was very nice. He sat behind the water box and just waited because he knew I needed a minute or two to get in. So, you know, that was shoot. My blood was pumping for that one because I had a jog halfway pushing a car.
Wow. And DJ continues getting the notoriety, right? This guy's like emerging onto the scene the past few races. This guy's
DJ's a stud, dude.
He's the KB enforcer.
That's a good way to put it.
Right? In the hockey terms, he's the enforcer. All right. Like, I don't want to get you guys like weepy or anything, but let's talk about a couple of things here. Like the moments, the friendship, the relationship. This guy, Joey and I were on a plane together. It was great. I'm real happy for you. I could get emotional over this deal, but just try your best to talk through it. The friendship, the motorcycle deal, the working together, the crashing together. You're both dads. You've both experienced stuff no one should ever. And you're coming, I want to say you're coming out on the other side, but now you're getting to experience some really great stuff together also.
Yeah, I'm glad, you got to have your highs, have your lows. And there ain't nobody, when you make a man friendship thing, a lot of them come and go pretty quickly, because especially when you travel as much as we do and you're in and out of, I've moved states probably 5 or 6 different times in the last 10 years. It's hard to keep just maintaining normal relationships at that point on a common basis. And then you have somebody that's willing to just move time after time, work in a 3-car garage, then work out of a trailer in a parking lot. And then, then eventually you're working in KB. And that's incredible. And Joey's well deserving of being in that shop every single day, doing machine work or building engines, and, putting his time in and learning more and more and more about how to do things at a top-notch level. And, it's incredible to see and experience with the person that you truly love and care about. And you just want to see them do good. And I know that's all he wants for me too. And he wants to, positive and good things for us to keep running into or keep happening, but we'll take the bad as they come too. And we'll get through those as well.
That's awesome. No, it's awesome for both of you. And, Joey's a beloved character as well. And you guys have picked up like this, I don't know how you would describe it, right? But like, look at here's Willie and Joey and Diane. Like these there are people who have kind of hooked up with you guys. You've brought on this, explain it. I don't know how to explain it, but these two, and Diane, they're there for you. They're making sandwiches. Like, what's up with this?
Yeah. So I was just talking to Loans about this morning. I was telling him it's pretty funny. If you sit back and actually look, and Corey has this core group of people, at least a half dozen people that they come to every race, or at least as many as they possibly can on their own dime, and to support him and to just be with him and with me as well, and they've been with us for a long time, and from Willie and Diane and the DHR crew, Tom and them, and they just want to see Corey succeed, and they want to be there they're there for the good times and the bad times. And it's really, I think it's a testament to, Corey's character and the impact that he can have on people,
Well,
so I think that kind of explains the entourage that he has,
That's
appreciate it.
What's
The only bad part about it, we got to buy like 15 Wallies then,
Yeah.
Guess what though? Willie said it's on him for the first one.
Okay. Good. Well, rightfully so. You're getting a lot of congratulations out there. Congratulations from Fast Eddie. Congratulations from Derek. Congratulations.
Thank you to everybody, man. Trust me, it feels so good to walk around and people that you didn't even know knew, have been rooting for you and pulling for you and all that. And that it's walking around and feeling loved in an industry that you love and have loved for so long and tried to be a part of for a long time. It feels really good.
And just walking around, really, if we take the story back far enough, just walking around.
Yeah, in general, for sure, man. Walking sucks about the first 20 minutes every day, but then my ankle cracks loose, my back loosens up, and it gets, I get going. And as long as I stay on my feet, it's really nice. But absolutely, man. I actually can jog a little now, which is, I don't want to go jogging, but I can if I have to, which is a huge relief for me because I got a 4-year-old boy that I want to be able to chase around every now and then. But I also I play it up a little to him too. I can't lie, so I don't jump on the trampoline because Daddy's bad leg. You know.
you got a little bit of an excuse to get out of that stuff. I get it. All right, so what's possible here, Corey? Like, what are you thinking? You know, the second one comes quickly after the first one. They say you're fourth.
I want to fall in Billy's shoes, and I'd like to wrap that up. I'd like to get one in Seattle and kind of finish, get it back to back like him and Troy Coughlin did when. That was pretty cool. I'd like to do that, but hell, it might not happen. I don't care, but I'd like to go back to Seattle and get at least a round win because I honestly felt a little robbed after when I debuted there in first round. The car got loose at the top end. I got out of it, and Troy drove right around me and won, So I learned this first time I raced on that track. It was really nice, so I can't wait to go back to Seattle, but I am very excited for Sonoma. I would really like to win there for sure.
Excellent. And just one final note, if you want to share, like it was alluded to a couple of times that you've had some positive news in the family as well. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like there's something with energy that it compounds itself, both positive and negative energy. I'm hoping you guys are having a good moment right now.
I hope so, man. Yeah, we go tomorrow morning actually to check his blood again. And if it stays on track, man, July 18th, he'll be done with chemos and he'll get his little port out of his chest, and all that very soon. So I can't wait.
Amazing. No, listen, and that's why, like, positive energy. I'm wearing my Maple Grove shirt for Captain Chaos, honestly.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that guy needs some positive energy right now. Kretschke family, our hopes, prayers, and wishes are all with you guys, that's for sure.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you very much. You and Joey, you guys are great. Appreciate you both. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Happy 4th of July. What are you doing for the 4th? What's the plan?
I'm going Cecil County, man. Got to race. Got to keep racing, right?
Racing.
No, I'm points leading in Pro Dial up there, and I'd really like I need to get a win in that class too now. Tom's old Firebird, the DHR bird, So I'm going to take the 84 up there and go 1150s, go all of 115 mile an hour, and try to wear out some 9.0 cars.
I love it. I heard about that. I heard that you had a blast and that it was awesome. Everybody loved seeing you there.
So. Oh, it's a lot of fun, dude.
Well, have fun.
It's a good, relaxing weekend. Thanks for having me on WFO, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Way to go, Corey. Joey, see you soon. Appreciate it, guys.
Peace.
There it is. WFO Radio, first-time winner, Corey Reed, along with Joey Gladstone. And again, guys, it's just that simple. Like, maybe you don't know him. And I think, honestly, that seeing those two fight and claw their way into the situation in Pro Stock Bike and then have the incident, what doesn't, kill you makes you stronger, they say. And the bonds with those guys, I think I can speak with everybody that I know and I work with, just got a positive attitude about both of them. John Hall is down there in the ready room. We're going to speak with Johnny Hall about his first win in 12 years. What an emotional winner's circle it was. Hearing about that, plus Jason Galvin going to join us on the show seconds from now, not long from now. But what we're going to do first is hear from a couple of our sponsors.
Looking to replace your OEM diesel particulate filter or diesel oxidation catalyst? Look no further than DPF XFit, a complete line of aftermarket diesel particulate filters and diesel oxidation catalysts designed as an exact fit OEM replacement with all makes coverage for light, medium, and heavy-duty trucks. With thousands of units in stock, we ship the same or next day, and be sure to check out our comprehensive reverse OEM lookup tool. Always new, never remanufactured. For more information, be sure to visit dpfxfit.com. That's dpfxfit.com.
Foggit is a high-performance fogging oil designed especially for internal combustion engines. Foggit can be used by everyone. If you have a lawnmower, a jet ski, a motorcycle, a tractor, a high-performance car, a classic car, racing vehicles, if it has a cylinder wall, it needs Foggit.
What's up, everybody? Today we are in Emporia, Kansas at Stinnett Racing. We're going to dyno Project Pontiac. Yes! That's how it's supposed to happen right here.
A lot of work on profession. We talked about this project 2 years ago at the PRI show.
Now, this thing started off like we dynoed the old engine, and that was going to be like just a refresh. Gary's not just an engine guy. He's got a lot of cool cars. Of course, he's Supercom Dragster. He's won 4 World Championships. Super Stalker. But back here is where he keeps everything. This dynoing my Project Pontiac engine with Gary Stinnett.
it's Antron Brown, driver of the Macro Tools Top Fuel Dragster, and yes, I'm a 3-time world champ. But you know what? When I win, I go straight to WFO Radio, baby. I want to see you listening in.
Oh, that is right. You can learn a little bit more about Project Pontiac on our YouTube channel. Hit the playlist, and you can catch up to date from the very beginnings to what is eventually next. Is tomorrow, I'm going to go put our new FTI torque converter in with our brand new headers, which have been freshly jet hotted, and hopefully it'll stay together like that for a long, long time. Please, please. All right, let's bring on the 2013 U.S. Nationals winner, who now has added to his wins total. Jason Galvin will follow. Mr. John Hall. John Hall for American Rebel Light Beer. You are a race winner once again. How does it feel?
It doesn't feel like it's been 12 years, but it's definitely appreciated. I think I appreciate the wins more now. My first win was pretty quick, second year, and now it's like you realize just how hard it is to get back to this winner's circle.
With Matt Smith Racing, both wins. In fact, I think the first one came over Matt, if memory serves me right. A little hiatus, but obviously the chemistry is there with you and Matt and Angie and that whole crew.
Yeah, so the first one was the inaugural Epping race. I think I raced Adam Arana in the final, and then the second race was raced Matt in the final. He's still trying to pay me back for that one. And that was the U.S. Nationals.
Amazing. Well, that's why I always try to hype that up. Like the fact that you're a U.S. Nationals winner, like that's a different kind of win. Your second win of your career was as big as it gets.
Yeah, I should have retired then.
Yeah, but you retired a little bit and then you came back. And now you got American Rebel Light Beer, Andy Ross on board.
Yes.
And I don't know, it feels like, I don't know, you tell me, but it seems like you're driving better with a sponsor on the side of the bike. Is there something to that?
It's great to have the support from Andy and the crew. They do a great job. They're promoting this brand as we could all see. They're sponsoring races, they're sponsoring cars, they're sponsoring me. We're doing the best we can to get our name out there and build this brand up. And that's what we do. And back in Connecticut, I have a beer distributor, and that's how I met Andy. I met him through Matt Hagan, and we created a friendship. And we're doing things together now, and it's going in the right direction, and this brand is taking off. We're doing well with it, and I think they're getting all over the country, and they're getting national notoriety at this point. So they have to build the brand up, and they're doing it, one state at a time.
I love that. I think NHRA is doing a pretty good job for American Rebel Light Beer because they're investing in NHRA Drag Racing. There's a void. We've always had beer sponsors in NHRA Drag Racing. You think back to Kenny Bernstein and Larry Dixon with Snake. And now the fans want to support a race car with a beer on it. And we lost him. And a motorcycle as well as too. He's getting a text right now, folks. You don't worry. He's getting a text and he will be back seconds from now. John Hall. It's probably Andy Ross calling. It's like, good job on WFO Radio. But the bottom line is I think American Rebel Light Beer has been great in NHRA Drag Racing. And look, there he is. I hope he comes back. He's not coming back. You know what we can do? I have a solution to this problem. Here's the solution. Jason Galvin. So while we wait,
hi, Joe.
John Hall, he's on a very important phone call, I'm certain.
Right.
He's going to come back and he's going to see that you're here with us, and we will connect with him once again. What do you make of the whole John Hall victory experience?
Yeah, I thought it was great, honestly. It's been a long time. What, 4,300 something days, I think was what I pulled up. That was like off the cuff. I'm like, I wonder how long ago that actually was, right? But I mean, awesome. The more people who win in pro stock motorcycle, I think the better for the class. And now we've had Richard Gadsden, and now we have John Hall. I hope we can see Braden Davis back soon. I talked to Andrew Hines after Richmond, and he said, well, he won't be in Norwalk, but fingers crossed. And so, I don't know what fingers crossed means for where the next place is, but I think we could all agree, like if Braden Davis magically shows up in Seattle and runs the rest of the year, he's probably winning a race before the season's over. Angie was 100 feet from winning in Richmond. It's good. It's great for the class. Pro stock motorcycle needs some of this parity back. No question.
There he is. Okay. He is back. And we've brought on Jason Galvin to join us for the interview, John Hall. I know that was a very important, it was probably Andy Ross calling to congratulate you, wasn't it?
No. But every time I get a phone call, it knocks me out of this thing. So Hopefully I don't get any more.
Yeah. Don't call them, guys. Don't when you say don't call them. That means they're going to call. All right, so let's get into that back to back. You beat both of the Harleys. Like, that's amazing. Walk us through those.
First round.
Okay, stop. I said Harleys because that's muscle memory, but they're on Suzuki's now. The Vance and Hines, Motul, Revzilla, Suzuki's. And look, John Hall, Jason Galvin, this guy's a very busy character.
He's like the most popular guy in pro stock motorcycle.
Clearly, they're all calling him. It's like Matt and Angie. It's like, you're on WFO right now.
Well, the problem was, he said every time somebody calls me, it kicks me off. So somebody was probably like, "Watch this."
Well, I don't want to say that's what I would do, but it might be. And it's just so great to see him back in the winner's circle. Clearly, we'll try to get him one more time. And they keep calling you, John.
Man, that was a spam call. Can't blame anybody for that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm sorry. So yeah, we had West in the first round. I believe we had who did we race in the second round?
Second round, we raced Mark Ingerson.
Had Mark in the second round, and I raced Mark more than anybody. So it's always great to race him. I know he's gunning for me because I'm up a couple on him right now, I think. And we were fortunate in the third round. Gage went red. And then we had Richard in the final.
Yeah, that's
it. To come back from that, I look at what we did in the final, what I did in the final. I'm lucky that Matt and Angie Smith and that whole team over there gave me what I needed to get to the finish line and get around Richard, because I was just late all weekend on the tree. I just had a problem on the tree this weekend. I usually don't. So I was lucky to have that MSR power to get back around them. And I got to thank the guys on the team, Cookie, Brandon, Mike, Michael Wright, Devin, Gianna, Matt, Angie, everybody that worked so hard to get this bike. We qualified third in Bristol, and we thought we had something there, and we had just an issue with an airline that could happen to anybody at any time. And so we knew we had a fast bike, and we came out here and we made the best of it.
Now, the weekend started off with some success from the team, with Gianna victorious for the third time in the ice cream eating contest. I believe you were there supporting. You were around. Did that motivate you? How did that motivate you to go out and win?
Her ice cream didn't motivate me because I know nobody can beat her. She's just like, we're just used to her winning now. I don't think you could match anybody against her that's going to beat her at this point.
I agree. Well, we're going to find out next year. We've already called in some big dogs. 3 in a row is like a lot. Can she go 4 in a row? We got some big names that are signing up. Big as
I think she can do it.
Yeah.
What flavor would you go with, John? Like what's your go-to ice cream flavor?
Mine is in Norwalk is Moose Tracks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's terrible one for an eating contest, though.
You can't shoot.
Yeah, you might choke on it.
That's it, and that's what took Ida out a little bit. It was unfortunate. There was a miscommunication for that.
Wouldn't recommend it.
Wouldn't recommend it, but the fact that it was green did look good on camera, and so that's interesting. All right, so let's look ahead for the rest of the season now. There's the saying, the monkey off the back, that kind of thing. Can you go get more?
I hope so. I just go out there and do what I do. They give me a bike to a fast bike to ride, and like Matt tells me every round in the staging lanes, go out there and do your job. So if I go out there and do my job, and I know I have this bike under me that I could win with, I think we could. Yeah, I absolutely think we can get some wins out of this team. Whether it's me, Gianna, Matt, Angie. We all have the potential to win. We all have the power. I got to thank Lisa at Denso. She does a lot to support us and help us. Worldwide Bearings, everybody that comes and helps us, I really appreciate it. Gets that truck down the road, gets us to the races, and gives us a chance to win.
Jason, final question for John Hall. You got it.
Yeah, look, Seattle and Sonoma coming up here, John. Sonoma was a race last year where you almost broke the streak and got all the way to the final and ran into a buzzsaw that was Matt. But you have a little chip on your shoulder getting ready to go west because of that?
Of course, yeah. I think we both have a chip on our shoulder for each other. He's still mad about the U.S. Nationals. That was a long time ago. Get over it. It was 2013. Cut me some slack, man.
That's why it took you this long to win with him. He's like, man, I got to let him stew on this a little bit longer. Like,
yeah. So I just want to bring up that last year in Norwalk, we were, I believe we went to the semis last year. And not a lot of people know this, but my mother was sick when I left to go to Norwalk, and I wasn't going to go. And everybody's told me, go, that's what your mother would want you to do. And after the semis, Angie came to me and said, you need to go home. So I knew what that meant. And so I rushed home, and unfortunately I didn't make it in time, but I really don't think my mother wanted me to be there. I think she wanted me to be where I was at the racetrack. And so I felt a strong presence with my mother and father this weekend. And it was, I think my mother was part of this deal for me. I really do.
Wow. I do too. I believe in that. Absolutely. And she definitely wanted you to be at the racetrack. I 100% doing something you love, as opposed to, all that is associated with that. I just went through that recently. Yesterday was my father's birthday, first one without him. And it's tough. It's great. But the next year you go back and win it. Like, that's amazing. That's cosmic.
Yeah. Today is a year to the day that my mother passed away, July 1st. So I think it definitely was on my mind all weekend. And I really think that played a part in it. I think she used some higher powers to get me through some of those rounds.
I loved it. John, thank you very much for joining us here on WFO Radio. Appreciate you. Congratulations. And I have a feeling there's more coming your way this season. Maybe you get mad again.
I hope so.
There you go. Appreciate you. See you down the road. John. There he goes. John Hall with us here on WFO Radio. Wow. Didn't know that.
No, me either.
And that's why these, long interviews, right, where you dig into it. And in the media center, he was subdued. And now I understand why. Like, the processing of it all. The processing. It's so hard to win at all. And a decade between this last win, but now he's got one, and he's got American Rebel Light beer. And Angie's out there. She says that he dips out on phone calls on her too, so we shouldn't feel that.
I got to tell you, I think I'm glad I didn't know that story about John Hall before, the final. There was enough emotion with the Corey Reed call. If I would have had that back to back, Big Baby Jason would have come out. Wouldn't have been good.
Yeah, exactly. There was a lot of cool stuff. All right, so let's talk about it, Jason Galvin. As in, first of all, let's just start out. Look who's out there. Carl Sari Racing.
Carl Sari. What a weekend.
Street runner-up. No delay box. No trans brake in Super Street.
No throttle. No throttle
stop. Just old school, the way that it was originally intended. And he goes to the final round. What do you got to say about that?
At his home race, his family came out on Sunday when he got to the finals, or when he got to the semis at least, and knew he was going to go that far. So, no, man, he had an incredible weekend. That was fun to watch. And, I saw him Sunday in the winner's circle, and he was beating himself up because he definitely gave that race back to Damian on the top end. But we've all done it, right, Joe? If you race a .90 car, you've given the stripe back.
40, 50 times.
Right. Everybody who's raced a .90 car has given it back. So, no, that's like an all-time weekend, right? He's going to beat himself up for a couple days, and then hopefully by now he's realized, I had that moment in Bowling Green last year where I was, Sunday night in Bowling Green, I was not, I could not comprehend that, I went through 100 cars to get to the finals. I just didn't care. But by Wednesday, I was like, you know what? That was a good day, right? Those are days that you dream about when you get behind the wheel of a race car.
He said his mom and dad were riding with him as well. Yeah, great deal. But the division champion ends up winning in Super Street. We'll talk about that a little bit. I know we got you for a limited amount of time, so this has been a full boat show. We started off with Austin Prock. Let's start over there. We'll recap. Right, the Prock rocket is now rolling after 2 back-to-back round 1 outs. They kind of figured out the hot weather setup and have won back-to-back races. And I'm just thinking to myself, now that Caps is a little nicked, I know he'll say that's not going to affect him, but even without that, who stops the Prock rocket? How do you stop the Prock rocket?
I mean, listen, Joe, it's funny because so many people talked about they're just not the same team this year as they were last year at the start of the season. And I think it's easy to forget, because of how strong they were down the back half of last year. They didn't dominate the first half of the year. Now they were the points leader. They were a good car, right? They won early in the year in Phoenix, and they won Richmond, after John's incident. But if memory serves me correctly, I think Richmond was their second win of the year, or maybe third last year. But it's not like they had surmassed this huge early season lead. So we're at the point of the season where last year they really got on a roll. You know, it started like it was Seattle, right? And then Sonoma went pretty good, and then it was Brainerd, and then it was Indy, and then next thing you knew, it was like, just get out of the way. So if anything, they're like
ahead of schedule.
I was to say, plug your ears, funny car class. Are they ahead of schedule? Like they're at least on schedule. That's a scary thought. That's a really scary thought, given what they did last year and how good that car looks right now.
Yeah, and it's just like, no offense to anyone, but the biggest competitors, Matt Hagan, Tony Stewart, Nitro, they're 0-7 against Austin in races. Like Hagan has never. Sorry, Matt, please. It's just numbers, right? I'm sure Hagan doesn't.
It's Joe. It's him.
It's him.
I said it first. So.
I don't believe that number. Like nobody is undefeated against Matt Hagan. Nobody except. Now it could swing. Remember Steve Torrence and Antron Brown in their career? Like Antron had this tremendous lead against Steve, and then it's totally swung the other direction. But
Greg and Erica have gone through huge streaks, right? Erica had a big lead on Greg. Greg has closed the gap lately. Greg had a huge start on her, obviously. So, you know, it can definitely go through swings. But no, it's crazy. But between that and Paul Lee's now 0-11 against Ron Capps, like those are also 2 top 5 cars in points.
Yes. Now here's one that is coming on. We had a good shot to stop the Prock rocket until my brain hit shut off in the second round, says Daniel Wilkerson.
Yeah.
So Daniel, Daniel and I hung out. First of all, he was on the show a couple weeks ago, got the WFO bump, won the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge. This is one of those things that happens, right? But the interview, it's not consolation to a funny car racer that they did a good loser interview, but it was one of the best loser interviews ever.
Yes.
Like real emotion. Like, wow.
The rest of the
how do you
sport
not love that guy after that?
The rest of the sport needs to look at people like Dan Wilkerson and realize that it's okay to have bad days and to be vulnerable and to show that. Like, it will be better for the whole sport. It will be better. Like, PSA, it's a Jason Logan breaking news thing, right? Like, Nitro racers, you want more sponsors? Be Dan Wilkerson. Like, I'm just being honest. Like, be Dan Wilkerson. Don't complain about I can't get sponsors, but then you go up in your interview and you're like, yeah, I'd really like to thank the Joe's Plumbing, Jason's Tools, Kia, of Brentwood, this, that, whatever, that stunk, and walk away. Like, that's why you struggle with sponsorship. I'm just being real. Real.
No, he was like in defeat. And I'm sure Randy Glady and the Skag guys know this, but Tim Wilkerson is a beloved character, and Daniel Wilkerson, like, you can earn fans in defeat. As much as it's all about winning, it's not all about winning, because there's only one winner at the end of each race. And I'm sure there are people in the grandstands that walked away from him like, that guy. All right, let's see what he does next race. Let's watch him. And that's what fandom comes from.
Yeah. People love Austin Prock because when he loses, he'll get on the microphone and tell you, like, I'm pissed. Doesn't work for us. We need to be better. I need to be better. Like, this is unacceptable. Like, I think people appreciate that honesty. Truthfully.
Yeah. And look, this guy Frisky says, and that's why I love Daniel. And that's why everybody loves Daniel. So, but don't do it again, Daniel. All right. Come on. So Austin Prock over Matt Hagan. Anything else you want to say about the funny car category? I liked seeing Cruz Pedregon as the number one qualifier. Like we feel like something might be happening there.
Yeah, Cruz number 1, went to the semifinals. Obviously Wilkerson helped him with that, but no, totally great. It was good to see Cruz. That car has been getting better. We've talked about it a lot. And look, I think there's like a real battle going on in funny car. It's all like behind Austin right now, unfortunately, for the rest of the class.
That's it. Okay, so Kobe, what's going on with Kobe? Is he okay?
Oh, is he yelling?
You can't hear. You can't hear.
I put earbuds on. But he's good. He's good.
Right.
I'm sure Mom's got that under control. Yeah.
Okay, Mom is there.
Look, I can even fix this, Joe. Watch this. Ready?
Okay, we're gonna do this. Look at this. What could happen? What could this be a WFO first? What could happen?
Suddenly Kobe becomes more quiet. Look at that. He's probably hungry, Joe. It's nap time. Come on. You don't remember being hungry? You don't remember being hungry when it was nap time?
Yeah, yesterday. I was it was around second round. I was hungry. And it was nap time.
Yeah. And you and Jason Logan both. Jason Logan, I need water.
People were grumpy this weekend, man. There was a lot of grumpiness in the heat. The heat causes grumpiness. It is just a deal. Let's talk on that note. Let's talk Top Fuel. And we heard from Justin Ashley. Justin Ashley said all the right things. A shocker, right? A shocker. But to me, the Langdon Ashley super mutual, respectful, great lever thing that's happening. What happened with Langdon and Coletta and Brian Houston at the last race, and now Ashley coming back and beating him in the semifinals in this race, sets up you'd have to be a moron to not track this for the rest of the year.
Right.
Gotta track it.
Yeah.
Gotta track it.
If you couldn't sense that Sean Langdon was pissed off last weekend, I can't help you. Like, I don't think Joe and I needed to outwardly say it, or Brian and Tony. Like, just watch his interviews. Like, that's a mad race car driver.
Well, why wouldn't he be? Right? Like, if he wasn't upset, like, that would be not genuine.
Yeah,
like,
it's all right. We just had an issue and, had the win taken away. Right.
That was a win. That's gone.
Yeah.
But having said that, this is the first time we're talking to you about it, though. I talked to a bunch of crew chiefs, and I asked them this question. Like, hey, what's right? What's the right thing? Like, what would you guys say is right? And to the letter, each one said, no points for the win, no money for the win, but let the crew guys keep the trophy because they crossed the finish line first. And I felt like, oh, okay. And then I went and talked to some folks in the tech department who run the rule book, and they said, the rule book says in words, if this happens, then this happens. There is no addendum that says, unless it's the final round, in which case none of those things exist. And so we had no choice to go by the rules. And if we had patted them guys on the back and said, you know what, next time, don't do that, or you can keep the win, but it would have inflamed everybody on the other side of it. Did you have any conversations? And, maybe in the future, they'll put that asterisk that says, unless it's the final round, in which case there is, the ability to do something else. But it doesn't say that in the rule book right now.
Did not have conversations with people about potential future changes. The conversations I had were similar to yours, right? I think most people felt like taking the win away was harsh given what happened. The tech department stance on it is that the rule book says what the rule book says. And listen, the one thing we don't want to do is be in a position where we're making it objective. Like, there's nothing I think anybody hates more than, objectivity in making rules decisions. There's a reason the rule book exists and is written the way it's written. So the rule book is written the way it's written. You can agree or disagree. It feels like if you just read social media and talk in the pits that most people disagreed, but it's the rule book. It's not like it was a secret. They didn't add it after the run. If it's written that way in the rule book, it's written that way in the rule book. So, I think the NHRA does a good job of evaluating that stuff when it happens, Joe. And I would suspect that there will be at least a conversation about it. Does that mean anything's going to change? Not my department to, worry about that, right? But, I'm sure that there will be plenty of conversations, as there are about a lot of other things that happen. We've seen rule changes end of season that we know is pertaining to something that happened earlier in the year. So, we'll see. That's why Lonnie and Ned and Clinton have the jobs they have. Is and way smarter than I am when it comes to that.
Well, it's about looking ahead, exploring that idea. As much as the crew guys that I talked to and the crew chiefs that I talked to said that, if they were in the other lane and they found out that the car that just beat them was illegal, what would they say?
Yeah,
would they say the same thing? Let them have it. Like, those guys worked hard. Like, I just feel like people's opinions change depending on the situation that they're in at the moment and what they're feeling.
Always.
And if you're a rules maker, you cannot do that. So
no, not at all.
And Sammy's like, did they find the bolts on the track anywhere? It's like, I'm under the impression, from what I understood, that they were in the belly pan, enough of them. But I don't know that for certain, Sammy Eubanks.
I did not ask Tech where the bolts were found. So
yeah,
I can go off of what the team said, which was they were in the belly pan. But that's just, that was the team side of it.
Were you aware of the Clay Milliken drama before Rick Ware told me on the starting line?
I was, because I could stand in the tower in Norwalk and look out the back window and see that we had funny cars in the water box and we only had one top fuel dragster. And so I made a comment of it, and Jeff Smike did a great thing. And he pulled up a video camera of Clay Milliken's pits, and Clay Milliken's race car was still on jack stands while we were lighting Nitro Funny Car.
Yeah, that's
so I knew there was at least an issue.
And then they go out and outrun, and without a warm-up, they go out and outrun Justin Ashley.
Yeah, but you weren't beating
Justin's
Justin.
27.
27. Like, come on. I literally laughed. This is the first time I ever laughed at something on the racetrack. Like, if you go back and watch the final, I'm like laughing as he's going down the track. He's 27. Come on.
Right.
So I got to say about Top Fuel. What happened in Top Fuel? Justin Ashley was 27 in the final. Okay. There's Norwalk.
6 of 7 final rounds, running the 25 season a little differently than they have in the past with the early season dominance. And you know, they finished very well last year, but it looks like they're running the season a little bit different. 77 behind smoke for that regular season championship. That is very important.
Legitimate three-way battle now with Tony, Sean, and Justin, especially with, you know, Indy having extra points.
That's going to be wild. All right, Corey Reed, you caught the tail end of that, I'm sure. Corey and Joey.
I did. Kobe's making a guest appearance. Stand by.
Okay.
I told you he was going to do this today.
Yes. Yeah, he did. He did. Like, Galvin, listen, for all of you people that, you know, are beyond your child rearing days, you know, like this is going to be a great moment for you. I believe, and I'm not for certain, but I think in the near, 15, 17 year history of WFO radio, we have never had a baby live on the air until right now. The first ever.
Say hi, Kobe. I knew this would happen because he gets mad when Dad walks away. Hi.
Right. Well, that's good that the child likes you. I mean, that's probably something you'd want.
This is good. Hi.
Oh, Kobe.
All right. Kobe, you
share if you like babies, guys. Share if you like children. Right. Retweet for the children. Now, aren't you worried about someone like stealing your child's identity?
Come on. That ship sailed a long time ago. You seen my first kid?
Yes.
We made that baby announcement live on the news, you know. So
there he is. Okay. So well, listen.
All right, Corey Reed, man.
Not gonna last long. Corey Reed, just go. Do your thing.
Dude, I mean, that's like one of the all-time great wins in NHRA, right? Everything that Corey went through. The fact that Corey sat there in Richmond at a race he wasn't supposed to be at, just hanging out and looks at me and goes, Jason, got great news. Son's getting his pick line out in July. Been battling cancer. We know that he's had that yellow ribbon on top of the car, on the old car at least. I mean, look, here's one of two for me right here. Joe doesn't have kids, but you have a nephew who's, like a son to you. If you can't,
I can.
I mean, every parent, uncle, aunt in the world thinks about that scenario at some point, and then it immediately freaks out. And Corey Reed has lived it. And to find out, 1 week that there's a finish line and it's close, and the next week to win your race. Listen, you can go back and watch the finals. Not ashamed. You can hear it in my voice. There were tears in my eyes. I looked down at Joey Gladstone. That was the moment for me, Joe. You were on the starting line. That was the moment for me. Dallas shook the tires, and when Corey put it in fourth gear, that was the moment everybody pretty much knew it was over. And Joey Gladstone on a 145-degree track was on his knees, inconsolable. Didn't matter how hot the track was. He lost it. And Joey, he and his wife have been through the worst of worst with kids. And then he watched Corey, his best friend, go through that. I guess Joey's in the other lane when, Corey crashed in Charlotte. So listen, that you couldn't have written that script any better. It's a moment I was so grateful to be there for. Corey and Joey have been, like with you, Joe, have for a long time been very good friends off the track. They are great people. They don't get caught up in the whole KB Titan elite thing. That's just not I think everybody at Elite Motorsports respects Corey Reed, likes Corey Reed, off the track, put race cars away. He's just a likable guy. He's a great person. And, it's awesome. 73rd winner in Pro Stock history. I don't think that we're done with that this year, Joe. I have a hunch, that you'll see a Cody Coughlin come up and win a race here at some point. At least I hope that that's the case, but it was awesome, man.
That's wild,
everything
right?
About that moment was great. It was
73 people have ever won a Pro Stock race.
The only thing missing was Jim and Andy standing on the starting line, right? If you that's the only thing that makes that entire moment better is Jim and Andy standing on the starting line. So yeah, great moment.
Absolutely. All right. So other winners, first-time winner, top alcohol dragster, McKenna Bold. Wow, what an introduction to the world. She did a great job in her interview. So happy. Randy Meyer was over the moon. He was really excited about
See
it.
her reaction times all day, Joe?
No.
All weekend. Listen, and that's not the first race I've noticed that. You know, if you can consistently cut 50 or better in an A fuel car, and then your A fuel car is tuned by Randy Meyer, like this is newsflash, folks. You used to hear McKenna Bold's name. That won't be the last time you hear it this year. No way.
And a cool name, and she's got a great car, cool. And like that. Like there's certain persona that you want to build, and she's got that going. The Killer Bees have that persona, and Sean Bell.
Are we handing them the trophy already, Joe? Is it too early?
I think I would. Yeah, let's just do it. Just hand it and take the risk, right? Like take the risk that we can somehow prove us wrong.
It's a buzzsaw. It does not matter what type of car Sean Bellemere and Steve Boggs bring to the racetrack. You're going to have to go through them if you want to win alcohol, you know? They qualified fourth and then ran through the field. So
yes. Look at him. Little Kobe.
Kobe loves it. He loves Sean Bellemere. He's really excited to see himself, I think. That's the deal.
Yeah, look at that. Look at this. The baby, the numbers, the audience says they're sharing the show right now. Baby equals shares of show and comments on YouTube. Not the live feed, but the actual video. Comment on the video. Do we need more babies on this?
He's literally sitting here clapping. He can't even hear you, and he's clapping like he knows you're talking about him.
That's great. Kobe can do picks. Let's see. Dave Dupps Jr., first-time winner. I was accosted. He was not the first to win the bowl and the ice cream scoop. I guess Jeff Dona was that.
Did you say that?
I did. I was told that. I was informed that he was the first to do it, and he was not. Jeff Dona was, and Craig Gaultier made sure, right as I am, and coming down off a very stressful, difficult weekend, dealing with people, and Craig is like, "You were wrong," and so now I got to send Jeff a certified letter of apology, which I will. Sorry, Craig. And he's like, you're wrong.
But what a great story, right? Like, I mean, Dave Dupps Jr., right? Second generation comp racer, been to 3 finals in Superstock, never won. Dave Dupps Sr., 5 for 5 in his career in final rounds. They were all in comp. So, like, what have we learned, Joe? If you race in comp and there's a Dupps on the other side of the ladder, like, better hope they don't get to the final round. That's impressive. Like 6 for 6 career as a family in a final in comp's pretty good.
Pretty good. Good stuff. Let's see. Kevin Helms in Superstock in the Cool Fish, and Joe Santangelo in Stock Eliminator. Helms, he's obviously, it's been a minute, but a great racer.
Yeah, Kevin Helms, one of the all-time great stock Superstock, and the same can be said about Joe Santangelo, right? It's so funny. Mike Handress, right? Like, here's a little inside baseball, funny messages. Handress was texting me after Richmond. Epping, when he won in Super Gas, and he was making a joke about, I'm not in finals all the time, like Joe Santangelo, and I was like, it's kind of been a while since Santangelo won a race, so I went and pulled it up, and I was like, Mike, you've won 4 national events since Santangelo won his last. He's like, oh man, no way, that's like not possible, right? I'm like, yeah, this one was your 5th. He's like, oh, that's like impossible, man. Joe Santangelo's like, he's the man, he's incredible. That's all you got to do is just think about it and speak into existence, right? Because then he goes to Richmond and wins Superstock, and then he goes to the finals of Superstock from Gainesville at Norwalk, and then he wins stock. It's like, all right, well, Joe Santangelo is back in a big way.
Yeah, bad dude.
I've not looked at the Lucas Oil standings, but I've got to imagine that between a win in Richmond and a final in Gainesville, that Joe is, at least very much in the conversation for the Superstock championship at this point. We're getting to about that time of the year, Joe, where we could start at least picking a handful, here and there.
Some have been eliminated, but there are West Coast guys that are just kind of coming online right around this time of the year.
Yeah.
We shall see. But we know who the
somewhere there's a Trevor Larson sitting there with a race car that hasn't seen the track yet.
Right, Sherman Adcock. Like, I was just thinking about Sherman. Like, it doesn't always work out. Jacob Elrod and Jeremy Mason in Super Comp and Super Gas. We already talked a little bit about Damian Hazelton in Super Street, but both of those guys, great racers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, especially in that division. Great for the Elrod team, Ohio-based team. Had 2 cars in finals. Didn't work out in Top Dragster. The Al Kenny Buzzsaw seems like it's back, which is a big deal there. But I love the comments on Kobe here. He'll love that
Kobe.
In 6 years.
Babies are good for the numbers, is what I'm finding out. Share the show, guys. Let's get over 1,000. If you like little Kobe, if you like Kobe, share the show now. Let's see if we can go up over 1,000 live. It will be shocking. There it is.
He's like, hey, they're talking about me. Right? Yeah, right. Yeah. At what point does he get part of the WFO? Do we get a sponsorship here? Can we get a Gerber sponsorship on WFO?
Depends. We get you some diapers. If you'd like to send Jason some diapers, you could definitely do it.
Do you want diapers? You want food?
It's going south. It's going south. It's going south. No, he likes it.
Is it? I was like, is it? I don't know. Looks to me like he's pretty happy.
You tell me. All right. Final thoughts. Hartford wins the Getrix Pro Stock All-Star Call-Out. DeFlorian wins Mountain Motor Pro Stock. You know who won the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenges. Connor Stotler in Factory X. Mark Powick in Factory Showdown. Al Kenny in Top Dragster. Chris Osborne, Top Sportsman. What say you?
Yeah, Mark Powick winning Norwalk, right? Like, all he's got to do now is win Indy. He's won Gainesville. He's won at home. He's won a world title. If he wins Indy this year, that's like, Mecca complete for Mark Powick. I thought that was really cool. Hartford winning the Getrix race, obviously, that's one of his sponsors. That was a big deal for Matt. He can win Too Fast, Too Tasty challenges, and he can win the All-Star race. At some point here, he's going to win on Sunday too. And then I think we're going to be able to start talking about a 3-car race for the championship. So it's a good weekend. Great weekend of racing. For as hot as it was, Joe, I think like on Friday night, if you would have told us like Sunday's going to go how it did Saturday with the All-Star race and the Mission Foods challenges, like everybody would have taken it, right? Like, good racing all day in the heat. Very impressive stuff from our teams.
Excellent job. All right, Jason and Kobe, thank you very much for giving us a little analysis.
You want to say bye-bye? You want to clap for everybody? Yay!
Kobe
is waving. Yay! There it is. Oh, good job.
Oh, that's great.
This is good.
All right.
We've now turned the 9-month-old into a circus clown, Joe. Good job.
There it is. That's it. For whatever. This is capitalism. You do what you got to do. All right. Thank you, Jason.
See you later, Joe. See you in Seattle.
Jason Galvin, Seattle. Coming up a couple weeks, though, after 4th of July. So Jason Galvin did reference a moment, and Tamara from KB Titan did send me a couple of videos, and I think we can play one of them. I hope we can, and so you can experience the moment the way KB Titan experienced that moment. Let's watch, and tell me what you think. Let's see if it... Amazing. What a moment. This is on the KB Titan Instagram.
He went 39, I went 12. He should. I love you, Dad. Good job, dude, man. Ready? So proud of you.
Here, Cody. How about that? That's the Instagram. Follow the KB Titan guys on Instagram. Follow all of our drag racers, honestly. Like, that's just one. And thank you to Tamara for sending that over. And just some amazing moments over this past weekend. I do want to expand a little bit on something that I was involved with, which is the 6th annual Norwalk ice cream eating contest. Corey Reed was part of it. Didn't get to talk to him about it. I'll get a little nervous when these guys are over the road about the next second where the cell service goes away or the next phone call that's coming in. So kind of want to get to it. But this young lady is a force of nature. And if you don't believe so, just try to eat a pint of ice cream in a minute. It's not easy. It's a real athletic challenge. These competitive eaters and Joey Chestnut and Kobayashi and those guys back in the day. Gluttony, excess. We're not eating 10 pints of ice cream here, right? We're eating 1 pint of ice cream. Everybody can relate to 1 pint of an ice cream. You can do it. Like, I did it 3 times over the course of the weekend. I had 3 pints, 1 on Thursday, 1 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. And it was great. And the Bader family, $3 for a pint. Best deal you guys ever made, by the way. Remember the strife when it was not scooped ice cream and we switched to the pints, and it was, instead of it was $1, it was $3, and everybody revolted and they were annoyed. It's no one even thinks about that. $3 for a pint of ice cream. It's a million degrees out. It's worth it. It's totally worth it. It's twice the price. $3. There were a couple of times that I went over there and enjoyed a pint of ice cream. And while I was doing so, I thought about, if I needed to, if I had to, could I eat this in a minute? And the answer is no way. And Corey Reed did a great job. And Gage Herrera We had a reigning world champion go out there and give it all he's got. Metal spoons. That's one difference. Metal spoons make a big difference. Ida going without spoon. Spencer Hyde. Like, we had a star-studded group for the ice cream eating contest. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you go watch it and see the technique that Gianna employs. And next year, we've already had some really big players like reach out and say, we want a shot at this young lady. There's no way that this young, like, demure little girl, she's married, she's an adult woman, but in this circumstance is just, she's got a whole rhythm to it. And she was really one spoonful away from taking down the full pint in 1 minute. And it's pretty insane. Jason Logan did a tremendous job as the judge, and she's done it once again. And so I encourage you to go watch that. Drop a comment. Who would you like to see in the 7th annual Norwalk Ice Cream Eating Contest in 2026, which will be the 75th anniversary of the NHRA? I want to know that. All right, guys. Final comments in the comment section. Time for me to tell you about some of the people who make it possible for me to go WFO. Like, I want to shout out to the Life's a Drag podcast, now on WFO Radio. Subscribe down there. Click the bell. Do not miss it. WFO Radio, now home of Life's a Drag. Elon and Jason Logan talking about things that happen behind the scenes at the race, talking about racing, talking about all that on Life's a Drag in the WFO Radio feed. Also, Powertube TV, another place where you can watch WFO Radio. We've got our own Thursday night little block on there. And if you haven't downloaded the Powertube TV app, Apple, Roku, you can do it. If you got Roku, it is really great. WFO merch is on sale, 35% off right now. The Project Pontiac shirts, WFO hoodies. You can get your Christmas gifts in advance, mugs, Life's a Drag t-shirts now available in the WFO store. And I believe like $16, 35% off at this moment. So check them out. If you'd like to join our Patreon listener group, I don't know what we did, but we got a flurry of new members. Maybe it's Joe Lee Stanfield and Michael Heiner doing the Hear It From Heiner show about Pro Stock together for the first time. Maybe it's all the cool ignition shows, or maybe people have got a couple extra coins in their pocket. They want to help out WFO Radio. Patreon.com/WFO Radio. We've got our great sponsors like this guy, Marvin Rodak. If you like coffee, if you're one of these people who really likes good coffee, this is where you need to go. You call him 817-924-6821. Call Marvin Rodak, 817-924-6821. Tell him you heard about it on WFO Radio. Tell him that you love coffee and go through your, favorite flavor profile, bold or highly caffeinated. Maybe you like one of his drag racing themed blends, but Marvin Rodak down there in Fort Worth, Texas, doing a great job. Give him a call. You can go to his website, rodaxcoffeeandgrills.com. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. They just did a great team building exercise with the Dragster Adventure program with the folks from Still who were out there in Norwalk with the big, chainsaw challenge, which was super cool. Hot saw. Like, you hear those 2-stroke engines, man. They're pretty amazing. Frank Hawley, you show up with the clothes on your back and you leave with a fantastic experience you'll remember forever. They can set up a race for you and your team, your sales team, your best clients, you and your friends. Driving dragsters. What an amazing experience you could have. Go to frankhawley.com. Tell them you heard about it on WFO Radio. Of course, the folks at Foggit. You need a can of Foggit in your house. Foggit, Foggit, available at summitracingequipment.com. Bernie's Speed Shop, Josh Hart, 100,000 square feet in Ocala, Florida. It's like a dealership for classic and exotic cars. They do sell on consignment. So if you've got a car that you think is worthy of some professional treatment, as opposed to just putting it on Auto Trader, you sell it at Bernie's. They have the connections and the expertise to sell it for more than you probably could. Bernie's Speed Shop, bernies.com. Go to their website and check out their inventory. Bernie's. And thank you, Josh. That team is trending in the right direction. HusseyPerformance.net. Not just copper head gaskets anymore. David Allen and the team suggest you go to the website. You can see they've got a database, like scanned all gaskets we're talking about, head gaskets and exhaust gaskets and valve cover gaskets and oil pan gaskets for so many different styles of cars and race cars. They can turn them around very rapidly. Like if you need gaskets quickly, go to husseyperformance.net. It's all made in America, which is great stuff. Redline synthetic oil, whether it be motor oil or gear oil or trans fluid or water wetter, their line of great products are unmatched. And we appreciate the folks at Redline. All you got to do is look in the top fuel ranks. If it's good enough for top fuel, it's good enough for your car. But if you're into autocrossing, if you're into Beamers, you've got the M series, those guys live by Redline oil. Go check it out, especially their gear oils and trans fluids, etc. CWT Industries on board with WFO Radio. Appreciate Randy Neal, his Balance Machines on board with our show for the past couple of seasons. FTI Performance Transmissions and Torque Converters. Sent back my FTI converter. We loosened the converter a little bit, change our stall speed to make it even better. You remember what Project Pontiac was and our first couple of outings. Talk to everybody on the planet. They're like, nope, you want the stall to be a little higher. FTI goes right to work, loosened it up, putting it back in the car Thursday, I believe, right before 4th of July. Thank you, FTIperformance.com, and amazing customer service they've got at FTI. Total Seal Piston Rings. They did Trackside Tech Talks on location. We had a great turnout for the Trackside Tech Talks. And of course, Jesse Converters, the DPF XFit brand of Jesse Converters and OE replacement. Check out their G Sport if you want to look high performance, but also protect the environment. And more importantly than protecting the environment is be in compliance with your local laws and regulations. High performance should not have to be compromised. Jesse Converters. Can't wait to see Matt Latino back on the racetrack. All right, let's see what everybody else has to say. Got a whole bunch of comments in the comment section, and then we will get out of here, right? Send Kobe a WFO onesie. Yeah, I guess I should, right? Should send him a WFO onesie. Sammy Eubanks, my man Sam. I don't know why. I thought, like, I got to say hi to Sammy Eubanks while I was out there. I sent him a little video from the track. We meet so many great people is really what it is. And it's really challenging to keep up with all the people that you have connected with over the years and pop out that text or like a little like connection, like, hey man, still thinking about you. Right. But on this given day, I sent Sammy a video. You guys see, I'm wearing my Koretsky family shirt. I got this a couple weeks ago when I was up there for the divisional race and thinking about Kenny Koretsky. Guys, like you've seen it now. It's been on many of the cars, and Kenny Koretsky is beloved in the sport of drag racing. Like everybody loves the captain. And I can tell you that I do for his interesting character and all associated with Kenny Koretsky. But when WFO was struggling to survive, Kenny brought us to Maple Grove Raceway to do our show live in his pit area. And he paid us to do that. And we had an intense group of listeners. And being there, I think, introduced me to a lot of NHRA people that had only seen me in Gainesville, maybe ND. We were going out of our pocket, going in debt to keep the show going. And that was a big thing. And so Captain Chaos, that's why I'm wearing my Maple Grove shirt. Like just whatever you think will work, the power of prayer or positive energy or whatever you think will work, some positive energy to the Koretsky family, not just Kenny, but the whole family, because they are wonderful, wonderful people. And we love them. Kid Chaos. Just, I just went through this. The other day was my dad's birthday, yesterday, and thinking those thoughts, missing my dad. Interesting stuff. Let's see. I think every track should have a side event like the ice cream eating contest, something that is unique to the track. Well, like a trophy, like the unique trophies, certainly. I don't know what we can do, like in Pacific Raceways. I don't know what we can do aside. We can do the Muckleshoot slot tournament. That could be fun, but that's for NHRA to tell me. The ice cream eating contest was mine and Nikki's concept. It's an homage to the 4th of July hot dog eating contest, which is soon to come up. And we should have our own contest, except it's speed. And now we're 6 years in and people are loving it. People are loving it. It's great. What could we do with Pacific Raceways? What could we do? Like in Sonoma, who could put down a bottle of wine in 60 seconds? Probably not going to work. That's not a good idea. All the ideas are not good ideas. Let's see. Got a question. Is Corey Reed related to Sean Reed? They are not. They are not related. No relation to my understanding. Let's see. Ice cream head. I think he means brain freeze. Yeah, I couldn't do it because of that brain freeze. Like I would keel over. I can't eat ice cream in general. I loved Ida's way of conquering her ice cream. Now, Ida Zetterstrom, it's funny how when you work with someone, like I was a little familiarity with Ida going into this season, but now we've spent hours and hours in the booth together, like talking about drag racing and whatnot. So when we cornered her on the ice cream eating contest, she said yes. And she said right before the thing, she goes, are there any rules about how you eat the ice cream? I was like, no, there's no rules about how you eat the ice cream. And so she innovated. And I don't believe that will be against the rules next year. I do not think that, unlike Angie Smith, who heated her spoon, I don't think there's going to be an Ida rule next year. I think we're going to leave that floating out there in the ether for a couple more years. Thank you, Joe, for Life's a Drag. Appreciate you, Ralph. Thanks for keeping us in the know. Way to go. She might have had a shovel in her hand the way she used that spoon. Clearly. Yeah, it was really amazing. Norwalk was a great weekend. It was nice meeting you finally, Joe. Says Ford Purley. The pre-race show, we had a great time. And I met Ford for the first time in person. He was there with a couple of friends. And just everybody had a blast. Ralph's listening from Central Florida. Lonnie. Again, major kudos to Ida Zetterstrom for her booth performances. She's very informative, entertaining. I hope her driving career lasts a long time, but if it doesn't, keep her in the booth. And Courtney Enders also. This is the sea change that's happening. And I do want to tell you all, this weekend's broadcast from New York is going to be amazing. And Alan Reinhart going to be returning the Lebanon Valley live stream. Division 1, Lebanon Valley Lucas Oil Series is going to be free on NHRA TV, so you do not have to go without NHRA Drag Racing this weekend. And it will mark the return of Alan Reinhart. And so now you got everything, which I'm really excited about that, honestly. And it's all coming back together. I'm really thrilled. Blake says that was a fun show. Yes, it was. Very fun. Henry G, give the show a like, people. Look, honestly, these algorithms are what's the problem with everything. It's the problem. What really helps are shares, reposts on X, and comments on the YouTube video after the fact. Like, only so many people watch this thing live, guys. Comments on the YouTube video after the fact. Like, who do you want to see in the ice cream contest in the future? Like, what did you think of the whole Sean Langdon situation? Like, the rule book says ... Can we just make it up and say, except for this time? What do you think about Justin Ashley's 27 light in the final round? There's been so much commentary. If you're watching on YouTube after the fact, you get to this point, drop a comment below. And that's going to help us learn what you want to hear about in the future. Let's see what else. See, I love that. The audience is like chatting. Great show. Joe, see you in a month. Can't wait for Nitro, says Kara out there in Sonoma. Shrimp eating contest. Yeah, nah. Shrimp eating contest. No more eating contests. We already have one. Well, so there is an ice cream social in Sonoma in memory of Eric Medlin. And Eric Medlin, the ice cream, but I understand it. Bader was doing ice cream prior to Eric Medlin, as I understand it. Oysters, tire changing competition. I don't think that applies to drag racing. We're not really changing tires under duress. William says, it was great to meet you on Sunday. Thanks for the WFO decal. Oh, absolutely, Bill. No sweat. Yeah, I actually had decals on me this event. Why? Yeah, this guy. Shrimp? Scrimp? Nah. Yeah, nah, no scrimp. We're not doing that. All right, guys. Appreciate you all. Thank you so much. There were so many nice people out there in Norwalk, and I love that race. The Bader family does a great job, and I really believe that, you know, success leaves tracks. Success leaves tracks. I was taught that. That's not my own thing. Legal Larry taught me that. And you see what the Bader family does. So what does it mean? Well, things should be painted. Like, look around. If there's something that's not painted and the paint is flaking off, paint it. And the grass should be mowed. And you should have nice things for the fans. And you should have a hook. Some sort of hook. Ice cream is the hook at Summit Race Equipment, NHRA Nationals. And speaking of that, I went to Summit on Wednesday, and I had the best time ever. I got in on Wednesday. I went to Summit, watched my social feeds for the video of it, but I had never been to the Summit retail store in Ohio. There's one in Reno, there's one in Dallas, there's one in Georgia. Guys, you've got to go. It's insanity. Like, it's the kind of place that you can make a pilgrimage to. You can go and spend the day, like these people are driving hours to go to Buc-ee's. There's no food there. And maybe they should put some good food in there and, like, just blow people's minds. But I got a rush of endorphins opening the door and walking into the Summit. That's how great it was. Like, they have everything. They've got a sale rack. They've got a scratch and dent store. You can get anything you can want, and it's in stock at Summit. I bought a pair of safety glasses with 2.0 bifocals. Why would I do that? You guess. All right, guys, WFO, remember, Life's a Drag tomorrow, 6:30. Thanks to our guests. We'll see you next time. WFO.
Like this show? Want more? Then head to WatchPTTV.com, the new 100% free Powertube TV streaming network. Home of the best classic and new motorsports racing and build shows on the web.